Welcome to Fix My Deck, episode 17. Today we're going to be looking at an Elesh Norn. This is the Elesh Norn that costs 4 mana and flips over. She has Vigilance, and whenever a source opponent controls deals damage to you or a permanent you control, they lose 2 life unless they pay 1, and then you can pay 3 mana and sacrifice 3 creatures to transform her. And the transformation side is a saga, and the first story of the saga, is that right?
Chapter.
Is it a story?
The chapter.
The first chapter of the saga is incubate 5 times, then transform your incubator tokens. The second chapter is creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain double strike until end of turn. And then chapter 3 is destroy all permanents except for artifacts, lands, and Phyrexians. This player who filled out the Fix My Deck form said this deck is supposed to be Phyrexian Might token copy deck, and they're conflicted on whether they should stick to this Elesh Norn or switch to Mother Machines, and they're saying that they really have this playgroup issue of basically it feels like they're playing CEDH, and they're tired of fighting for their life, and that with this deck, it's too slow, not fun to play, gets mana screwed, always loses, and they're running up against what sounds like a really brutal playgroup. They have a lot of green players who are making infinite mana and, using the Druid to take control of target opponent's lands, and going against
An
Omnath
Stax
Stax,
deck.
and Is It Spellslinger. And so it just sounds like a really brutal playgroup. Feels like they're playing CDH. So, yeah.
The first thing is to probably talk to them first about what type of games they want to have, as well as like what type of games you want to have. And while I think the bracket system is fine, it is just another way to group decks, but it is worth having that honest conversation of, do y'all want to play in bracket 5? High bracket 4, or like kind of mid bracket 4, or would we actually have more fun in a bracket 3 kind of zone?
Yeah, it sounds like these people want to do casual EDH strategies, but at like CEDH power level. And yeah, the first thing to do is try to talk to people about it and say this stuff isn't that fun. But obviously, a lot of play groups are not very receptive to that stuff. And if they weren't receptive, what I would do is I would just, go to mtgtop8.com and start looking at CEDH decks and just net deck something and then, stomp them. Because based on what these decks are doing, it doesn't sound like they could actually play at a CEDH level, and that if you just went and made a CEDH deck, you could potentially just beat them in every single game. And then maybe if they lost every single game, they'd think more about what kind of Magic they want to be playing.
Yeah, the alternative is to try changing your strategy and like deck design to match their level, which is, I don't know, to me it kind of reads like, I guess this is what bracket 4 is supposed to be, like no holds bar, but like not CEDH, so you're not playing the meta. Which is fine.
Yeah, but I will say they marked like don't care about the bracket level, and I think
yes,
it's not even. It doesn't sound like this play group necessarily has even had a clear conversation about this, and I would definitely lean towards. And you don't even have to make a pure CEDH deck, but you can go look at CEDH decks, and even running a lower powered one would probably destroy a lot of these strategies.
Yeah. The other option, which we'll go into, I think, is bringing the deck that you have, this Elesh Norn, up in power level to at least match a bit more what they are bringing. Because this deck is clearly running some like Stax pieces to be annoying to their strategies and just try and slow them down. As well as, a few infinite combos like Walking Ballista and Heliod Sun Crown. But I also think this deck needs to be tightened up a bit to match what they're doing. And to be what I'm seeing in the deck are a lot of cards that are more around stopping your opponents from winning versus trying to really advance your own game state in like these impactful ways. Like really, I think every deck, unless you're playing a group hub deck, really wants to become the arch enemy, like because that means you're ahead.
Yeah, especially in this kind of power level. I mean, if things are weaker, I mean, like when we've played those precon games and my horrible Fallout deck won
Yeah.
like both of them. It like won because I was doing nothing and I was never the arch enemy. And so like lower power levels that could work, but in the higher power level like this, it just sounds like, this player said at one point, they said if they make their decks too strong, they always get targeted and lose. And if they make their deck, let's see, if they make, and then they said, yeah, if it's too strong, it gets targeted. But at this power level, like, just go stronger at that point would be my attitude, you know?
Yeah, pull out the. Well, I think yeah, if it's too strong at the table, it's getting targeted. But if it's not winning when it's getting, if it's so strong that it's still not winning, to me says that it's not playing enough closers or can't consistently, you know, it has like the walking ballista Heliod Sun Crown combo in here, and so it's like, well, if that's your main win condition, then lean into that and like try to do that combo more consistently. Whether that's like moving Heliod Sun Crown into your like command zone and really leaning into kind of like that life gain combo synergy, or play more haymakers or other ways to like really swing the board state in your favor.
Yeah, I think Heliod could be a strong commander. You could do Heliod with a lot of control stuff, and then since he's one part of the infinite combo, then you just have to like tutor a blocking ballista to try to win the game. Or like you mentioned, we could go way more aggro and just try to run people over. But yeah, we'll try to improve what we have because there are some of these things with this deck, like getting mana screwed. And when we look at the mana base, it's clear that you would get mana screwed running it. And then it's too slow, and that's clear based on some of the mana costs of the cards. And then there's also just some cards that are cool, but way too weak. Like Attentive Skywarden, that's like a bracket 1 or 2 kind of play style.
It's like a precon card.
Yeah, this is a precon card, and these people are playing at bracket 4. So I think
I really like a lot of the cards in the mana base. This mana base kind of took the lesson of all my lands should do something a little too hard, in that there's not enough basics to just support what you're trying to do.
yeah, I mean, you look at some of the stuff like they have Ameria, which I love. I love Ameria. I want to jam that in every deck I can, but I don't think they even have 7 planes to trigger Ameria.
Yeah, and
so we'll cut that right away.
I think keep Ameria. I think we should increase the number of basics because, I think the strength of mono white is you can use cards like Ochaeomancer as a map, which tutors up planes, and cards like Land Tax that grab more basics. And it's just right now there's so many lands that don't even tap for white. Like looking through, I think I counted 16 or 17 lands that tap for colorless, which is half of your mana base. So it would be impossible to cast cards like Phyrexian Vindicator that has 4 white pips. And I was like, I don't know how you're ever going to cast that unless you kind of, I guess, if you get like Nykthos and can generate white mana that way.
Yeah, I mean, but with Nykthos, it's hard to if you don't have white mana to cast these white cards, how are you going to have the devotion for Nykthos? And yeah, you're right. These cards, like, I mean, I love playing mono white, and I love monocolored decks and running Nykthos and Ameria and all these things, but we're just going to have to make some difficult decisions about what we cut in order to just have good color fixing.
Yeah, I would also say there's a lot of cards in here that are good lands but don't synergize, or it's not a bad effect to have, but it's it's utility that you probably won't leverage that often. So, for instance, Hall of Heliod's Generosity. The deck right now has 5 enchantments. Are you really going to activate it that often? And, if you've generated any value out of your Smothering Tithe and someone removes it, I think it served its purpose. You don't need to recur it.
Yeah, and I mean, this probably, does in part exist to, like, get back some combo pieces, like Pariah. You can use Pariah with, like, Stuffy Doll, I think, for infinite combo. But that's a little bit, I think, too casual of a strategy. And I think
Yeah.
that we want to cut out some of those combos are a bit weaker and also not really what the deck's about. And
Yeah.
yeah, like we don't
Or,
need Guilty Conscience and Pariah both infinite combo with Stuffy Doll, I think. And that could be a different deck, but I don't think it's the combo for this deck. And then if we cut out the combo pieces, I don't think we need Hall of Heliod's Generosity.
yeah, I would agree.
So let's start cutting some of these lands. I mean, Ancient Tomb,
I would
Buried.
drop Buried Ruin.
Yeah,
It runs a lot of artifacts, but if someone destroys your artifact, I think that's fine.
Yeah, I think we can have enough other artifacts and combos that it's fine if they hit the graveyard, and probably a lot of the important ones are creatures or something we could get back with a Maria. Now, if this was a Heliod Suncrown deck, and a lot of the point of the deck was comboing with Walking Ballista, I would run Buried Ruin. But that's kind of a bonus combo we're not really building around, so I think we want to focus on more white. Castle Ardenvale,
I would keep if we increase the basic playing count.
yeah, if we
Because
have
it is
enough
on the token
planes, this
strategy.
enters untapped. That's a good deal. Cavern of Souls, that's fine.
I would drop that. No, I don't think there's enough typal synergy to warrant Cavern of Souls.
It's worth it if it's only for your commander, though. If it's a really competitive play group.
They have one blue Spellslinger player. I guess, do I think that they're playing that many counter spells and countering their commander? I mean, I guess we can. I don't know. I am more interested in playing lands that can consistently tap for white, whether that's basics or otherwise.
Let's leave it for now. Command Tower,
Drop that for a plains.
Yeah, we can cut this for plains because a plains is better in virtually every regard. I mean, Command Tower would only matter if you had what's the
Multiple
zombie
colors.
land? Field of the Dead.
Which Field of the Dead would be good in this deck. We should consider adding.
Yeah, but still, I think we want to get the plains count up, so let's cut Command Tower. Demolition Field. In a more competitive play group, I would rather just run a strip mine, personally.
Or Wasteland.
Or Wasteland. Wasteland's expensive, but yeah, I'd rather just run one of those.
So a strip mine.
Yeah. I mean, I run Wasteland usually over strip mine just because I don't want to have the temptation to hit people's basics, but
Yeah.
and I like my fancy Wasteland. So Ijango,
Always worth playing in mono white. It randomly gets people.
that is true. It could randomly, get some of the things. So Mario will leave Fountain Port.
It is on theme and worth keeping.
It is a pretty solid card, so
But I would
Inventors.
drop Adventure's Fair. I would rather run more card draw than Inventor's Fair.
Yeah, I think, again, this is something if we did, like, Heliod Suncrowned and we're trying to go for that Walking Ballista combo, I would definitely run Inventor's Fair. But for a token strategy, we just, like you said, we just want more card draw, probably.
I don't think Proliferate's important enough to the strategy.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's just adding 1/1 counters to each of the incubation tokens isn't going to get us there.
Oh, definitely keep Minas Tirith. Mirix is on theme. I would drop Myriad Landscape.
Yeah, we probably don't need it in this deck. I run it in a lot of monocolored decks, but this one, just the power level they're playing at, this is enters tapped and then gets 2 lands into play tapped if you sack it. It's a little too weak.
Yeah.
This
Nesting
isn't a,
ground, no synergy.
well, I mean, yeah, it helps you move the counters around, but still too weak for what we're doing. This is like a very casual strategy. Nyktos good. Path of Ancestry, I do run this in my Giada deck because, and even in, yeah, I run in my Giada deck, very good there, but in this deck, since it enters tapped and we want to get the planes count up, I think we drop it.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough typal action going on to warrant it.
Yeah, if you wanted to make mono white Phyrexian tribal, by all means run a card like that, but that's probably a bracket 2 or maybe bracket 3 deck. And also Phyrexian tribal is not necessarily what this deck is doing. It's tokens in a highly competitive play group. Reliquary Tower, I think we should drop. I've talked about this
No,
card before, but generally speaking, if you draw so many cards you would need to discard, you just keep the best 7 cards that would win you the game. And especially at this power level, it should basically be the case that you just discard your lands and the cards you're not going to cast, and then keep the cards that are going to win you the game.
my hot take is that Reliquary Tower is a crutch for be like you should be able to make the hard decision of what cards are actually going to lead you to winning. And lots of people don't like doing that work or thinking about it, and so they just kind of throw Reliquary Tower in every deck to kind of rely on the I don't if I have it out, I don't need to make a decision with discarding if I draw too many cards. And yeah, if you draw 14 cards, you should be able to pick the 7 best that will put you in a position to win.
Yeah, and this is a card. I mean, actually, it's funny because 2 weekends ago when we played, you weren't there, but this happened where someone played Reliquary Tower. I made a comment like, oh, well, that's going to be useful when, you can't cast any of your cards because you have colorless in your 3-color deck. And then ended up being the case that they didn't get their 3rd color and couldn't cast anything. But Reliquary Tower prevented them from discarding. So it was kind of like, what do you want to do? Do you want to cast your cards, or do you not cast them but not have to discard them?
I think if you have a game plan that relies on having an infinite hand size, then totally, Reliquary Tower makes a lot of sense. Like there are a lot of blue decks there's just a lot of cards that do something when you have a lot of cards in hand. Totally makes sense to run this type of card. I just think lots of people like to jam it in for no
Yeah, I
reason.
run this in my Azusa deck because the way that Azusa deck plays, in part it's gonna probably play at least 3 forests per turn. So it's actually nice to keep a huge hand size, and it often draws like 10 or 20 cards in a turn. And I believe it's the only colorless land in a mono green deck that otherwise has 45 forests. So I'd never get color screwed using this.
Yeah.
So we'll drop that. Rogue's Passage, I don't think that's relevant for this deck since we're not really going for like a big Voltron strategy and stuff.
Hmm.
Secluded Step, I do kind of still like these cycling lands, but I think with that's still a
I would
more
keep it.
casual. You would?
I think if the deck can draw enough cards, and if you have a lot of card draw or like kind of card synergy with the token strategy, I could see keeping Secluded Step. Um, but yeah, I guess I would rather run an MDFC over Secluded Step. Maybe that's where I'm coming down.
Yeah, I think we're gonna put enough other card draw that we don't need this. Temple of the False God.
I
You
actually like
still
this
like this
card.
land. I'm not a fan of it. In green, it's better because you get up to 5 lands easier. But this
I think
also is not
White's
a very
pretty good
competitive.
at that now. I think given the play group is very green heavy, I would actually consider running more of the catch up cards that White has a lot of. Yes, it's running Archaeomancer's Map, but White has a lot of other very similar effects that I think are worth playing early on, especially if someone's like, "Oh, turn 2, I'll rampant growth," and so you can kind of guarantee you'll grab you'll grab another planes. You can actually accelerate pretty quickly to keep up.
I mean, even with those things, I mean, you're right that white's like the second best color for doing that, and if you're fighting green, it's fine. But I still don't think it's worth it in this
Okay.
competitive of a group. So let's just cut it.
Yeah.
This
I'll
is
drop
cool
this.
because it's on theme, but again, we're gonna put in more card draw, and these people are playing at a level where, you're not playing for theme. This is a very good bracket 2 card, but not with this bracket 4 horrible mean strategies. Micah Synth Garden's super good.
I would
Seed
drop
Core.
it. Actually, it's very good in a like Voltron strategy where you want to copy equipment, or there's high priority artifacts that make a lot of sense in duplicate. But most of the artifacts here are either combo pieces, so Ashnod's Altar, Phyrexian Altar, or Ramp. And so I'm not seeing anything where it's like, oh man, I super want a second copy of Felwarst, or what have you. Like, I'm just not seeing enough cards worth copying to be worth it.
Okay, I mean, I guess in my mind, I imagine you copy something in response to someone trying to remove it. But yeah, we can drop this if you think it's not worth it. Seed Core, I mean,
I would drop this.
yeah, it's too bad because this is again really on theme, and this is if I was doing bracket 2 or bracket 3 for Phyrexian Tribal, I would totally run this, and it would be super fun. But unfortunately, this player's playgroup just sounds too oppressive and sounds like they're just playing really mean bracket 4 strategies. 3 Tree City, very, very strong, but not sure that...
Not enough typo.
Yeah, I mean, I guess with like, once you get the incubation stuff out or enough tokens
But incubate tokens aren't creatures until you flip them. Granted, the Saga does flip them.
Yeah, it's just not
consistent enough. Like, Nykthos should consistently be able to be mana positive, whereas 3 Tree City is all over the place in consistency unless you are really on a typo strategy where you can... I only play soldiers, so I can 100% guarantee that this thing will be mana positive once I have 4 creatures out.
Yeah, I mean, this thing is amazing in a lot of my Angels deck, my Clerics deck. There's lots of decks where I'm going to have a ton of a certain type of creature out, and it's basically a Guy's Cradle that costs 2 to activate. But in this deck, it's not really consistent enough, so we'll drop that. Urza's Saga, I think this is still worth running.
Oh yeah, no, it just grabs your Soul Ring or Skull Clamp. That's great.
Yeah, and potentially you create the Construct token for big creature. War Room, this is also...
I would keep.
You would keep this?
I think white should run as much draw as possible.
I guess we have dropped enough of the other colorless lands that we can keep this. My only concern is this feels more like a more casual strategy, but maybe we'll be okay with adding a bunch more planes in here.
I find mono white can just get into these stall states where it's good to have... Like, I've never been displeased to have War Room in any of my mono white decks. And we're going to add 15... No, we're going to probably add 18 planes, so we'll be up to 21 planes, which I think it'll be much more consistent to be able to hit our color, or hit our one color.
Yeah. How many 18 planes?
I would go to 21 at least.
Yeah, we'll come back to that too. We don't have to add the extra lands right now, but
this is helpful in keeping...
This is already a huge color fixing mana base that's going to help this deck a lot. I kind of want to move on to the other cards for now. Maybe we'll come back and add some lands later.
Yeah, I would drop the weaker combos. So Guilty Conscience, Pariah, and Stuffy Doll, which it's a cool combo. And I like it. I think it's just each of those cards are bad on their own. Whereas Heliod and Walking Ballista is a great combo because each piece individually is worth playing. Like you can play Walking Ballista for 4 and then blow up 2 1-drops or like 2, 1/1 token things, or like you can play Heliod and maybe it's a creature because you have Devotion. Alternatively, you're running cards like Suture Priest, and I think you should probably lean into a little bit more life gain. And then you're just distributing 1/1 counters onto creatures. And so like it's just a great effect.
Yeah, I agree. Stuffy Doll, I mean, I used to play this combo like 10 years ago, my Gasella deck, the Guilty Conscience Stuffy Doll combo. And it's kind of funny, but yeah, the cards themselves tend to be pretty weak. And it's not really the focus of the deck. So let's drop that and Pariah and Stuffy Doll.
I would also.
I think we can drop this thing.
Yes. Yeah.
This is also cool, like, again, mono white, incubate, Phyrexian, tribal, bracket 2 or 3 card. But at what the power level these players are playing at, this just isn't going to impact the board enough.
I think I would keep everything else in the enchantment slot. I think
these are all really
high.
solid.
Instance, Disenchant is just not impactful. I would say that Disenchant to me is the type of card that is preventing your opponents from winning, but not advancing your own game state. And unless you can do both with a card like that, you should really try not to run that many. And I'd also say Disenchant is not very cost effective.
Yeah, this is good if like your opponents are trying to combo out and you want to prevent one of them from winning, but that's not impactful enough in a multiplayer game, and you can't just prevent other people from winning. You need to be more focused on advancing your own game state. So we can drop that. Enlightened Tutor, good. This thing's cool, I think. Hits any permanent.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another copy of Generous Gift, which is fine. If you, wait, what is Rebuff the Wicked again? I think that's not worth playing.
I'm not opposed to this card because, like, especially if you're feeling targeted, like, this is a pretty efficient counterspell in a playgroup with a lot of targeted removal.
I guess I prefer to play more threats than like continue to apply pressure, and if people are stopping you, just play more stuff versus trying to keep the stuff you have in general. Like sometimes, like this card to me doesn't do anything most of the time unless like someone's actively targeting you. Whereas Teferi's Protection is like to me a parallel to this type of card. Teferi's Protection is generally like way more applicable to a lot more different situations. Like Rebuff the Wicked to me is too narrow, and I would rather it be a more universally useful card.
Well, we'll drop it to move on, but yeah, I do think if there's enough individual targeting, it's kind of like playing one of those free commander, like the free red commander spell.
But like Surge of Salvation to me is the better version of that card because it gives everything hexproof. And it gives both you and your permanents hexproof.
Yeah, that's actually
the same
true.
thing.
This is actually a pretty good card.
Yeah, and it like also hoses black and red damage randomly. So it's just like, broadly speaking, does more, and I like that. And I would actually get rid of Silence. Because Silence to me is a combo enabler, and White has a lot of cards that do the Silence effect because you're playing combo in White. You're not winning on other people's turns. You're only winning on your own turn.
Yeah, I'd rather run Grand Abolisher or something.
There's Grand Abolisher. There's the new Grand Abolisher card that's even better in Dragons of Tarkir, the newest set, that also has token synergy. So like, there's just like better ways to do that also synergize with your strategy. Like you could also run Myrel, makes tokens, should be in, and also silences during your turn.
Yeah, Myrel could also potentially be a commander for this deck if you want to go for a token strategy that also could work against these spicier play groups, because that silence effect is really oppressive.
Yeah, especially when you're especially if you do run more game-ending combos.
Yeah.
Let's look at artifacts.
Arcane Signet, Arcanomancer's Map, good. Ashnod's Altar, good.
Drop the Commander Sphere.
Probably too weak for this playgroup, yeah. Everflowing Chalice, that's probably fine. Felwar Stone. Herald's Horn, we should drop this because we're not really
typal
going
enough.
Phyrexian typal, yeah.
Drop that.
This is
equipment.
Again, this is
It's
just
cool.
so sad for me to cut this because this is exactly the type of stuff I would want to run in a mono white Phyrexian tribal deck.
Yeah.
You know, like look at this art; it's so cool. It's on theme, but then it's bracket 2 style deck.
I would drop Clan Ironworks unless you are really leaning into doing some sort of combo, which it doesn't seem like. It's mostly a value play, I guess, to turn your incubate tokens into mana. But I think if we put in a little bit more ramp that is more universal, I think we can remove the Clark clan.
Good in a combo as a combo piece, but not necessary. Lightning Greaves. That's probably fine.
That's fine. Yeah.
Marble
Diamond's also fine.
Yeah.
I would drop the Maskwood.
Yeah, again, that's kind of a different strategy. Mindstone is fine. Norn's Wellspring.
I would drop.
Yeah. Again, another cool, just really awesome art. So on theme. But unfortunately, this player's playgroup is too oppressive to do these kind of fun thematic decks.
Yeah. I would keep a Ketra's Monument.
Yeah, that's fine.
Patchwork, I would drop.
Yeah, 3 mana. We don't.
It should run. Mana. If you want to run a 3 mana rock, I would run the. What is it? The something banner. It gives +1/+0 and to all white, like to all creatures of a chosen color. Like if just because
it's not worth it either though. Tokens. Like.
Yeah, I would drop this.
Yeah, also too bad because this would be so cool. Skull Clamp, that's cool. Soul Ring. This player should probably be playing as many better mana rocks as they can.
I'd put Wayfarer's Bauble in.
You would run Wayfarer's Bauble at this power level?
Yes. In mono white, yeah. I mean, unless we want to go really aggressive, I would, and then we add in, well, like Chrome Mox.
Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking. Like, I would, just because I'm concerned about staying at the right power level, I'd run Chrome Mox. What's the Metalcraft Mox?
Mox Opal. I still run, like, even in bracket 4, I would still run Wayfarer's Bauble. I'd probably run it over, we could drop Marble Diamond. Like, I think, yeah, Wayfarer's Bauble is better than Marble Diamond.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Maybe it runs Thought Vessel because it's a 2 mana rock.
Yeah, and then as if this player is invested in the Reliquary Tower effect for some reason, like people are reducing their opponent's hand size, then they still get that, but in a mana rock.
I'm a huge fan of adding Throne of Eldraine in any mono white deck, even at bracket 4.
Yeah, Throne of Eldraine is super strong because you get to, it costs 5 mana, but then you can immediately use 4 mana. So even if you just play it for 5 and then play your commander for 4, even if they kill it, it's not like you wasted your turn. And then, yeah, later it can draw cards, so I like this in mono white.
Let's go back to instants. I think this deck should run Akroma's Will. You're on the token strategy. Akroma's Will is a great finisher.
I do love that card, so I won't argue against it. I think it would be kind of funny to run Angel's Grace in this.
Maybe. I mean, I would run Clever Concealment because you're also on tokens, so you have things to tap.
Yeah, Clever Concealment is a good protection.
Fortitude would be great. Oh no, it's non-token like creature.
Yeah, Flare Fortitude wouldn't work, but Clever Concealment's great because then you can just tap your creatures to convoke this and protect them. If they're going to run Excise the Imperfect, we should run the
Generous Gift. I think some more token generating synergy cards would be good. I would consider adding March of the Canonized. which is pretty cool. That's a newer card.
March of the Canonized.
So it's a token generator, and then if you have enough devotion, you start making these 4/3 white and black vampire demons. Oh, Flowering of the White Tree. You're mono white making lots of tokens. Flowering of the White Tree.
Yep. This card's so good. Every time I play this card, it feels better and better, and it already feels really good.
I would also add in Tokasha's Welcome. It's another card draw.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Would I run Luminarch's Ascension? Maybe.
Yeah, I would actually run that because based on the playgroup, it sounds like people are kind of trying to combo off and do their own thing. And it really doesn't... It's not hard to get this to 4 quest counters on it. And that's 2 mana for a 4/4 Flying Angel. There's some creatures we should remove. Attentive Skywarden, once again, cool on-theme card that should get dropped.
I kind of would advocate, unless... if you want to be a jerk to your group, or like kind of match their power level, keep Dranith Magistrate.
Oh, definitely, I would keep this.
But I'm not in love with that card, but it's fine.
No, I would definitely keep this at this power level. I think I would add Grand Abolisher also.
Add Grand Abolisher, add Esper's Sentinel.
Oh yeah, Esper.
It's
great because it's an artifact.
Add Voice of Victory.
Yeah, that's cool. This card, this is good. Wow, tokens and Grand Abolisher effect for a white and a colorless.
Yeah, it's great. Is there any other sorceries on it?
My first thought is more board wipes if possible. Because I do think this sounds like a creature-heavy play group still. Like, they're playing very competitive, fairly creature-heavy decks, and I would be trying to wipe the board multiple times against them personally.
Oh, do they have that board wipe that destroys all non-token creatures?
Oh, yeah, that would be a good one.
Hour of Reckoning.
Yeah, the more asymmetric board wipes we can have in this deck, the
Martial Coup is also a good option.
Yep. It's kind of a rude strategy to wipe the board over and over again, but this is a rude play group.
Oh, Winds of Abandon is always good.
Especially if I have a hard time not just wanting to shove this in every white deck I have, because, especially in our play group with how few people run basics, it's just very good. And even if you just cast it without overloading it, it's still strong.
Spot removal or
asymmetric board wipe. Really, like a lot of play groups, a lot of decks, a lot of creature heavy decks will lose the game to 1 or 2 well-timed back-to-back board wipes. And if this deck has a lot of options for asymmetric board wipes that will, really help it get that advantage it needs against 3 other players. Because like the beauty of board wipes is it hits all 3 of your opponents, and you're not just like 1-for-1ing with one opponent. So we're at 104, so we do need to make some more cuts. Agree, Victor.
I would drop that.
Yep, this is
Filigree, Jawbone Duelist, Metastatic Evangel, Might
oh, yeah.
Overseer. These are all cool Phyrexian cards, but you either commit to being the Phyrexian deck that is going to lose to these much higher power decks, or you have to commit to punching a bit more face to match your friends.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of deck, if they did mono-white Phyrexians, like, they could play it in our play group, I think, and come out ahead plenty of games. But playing against these highly optimized decks playing very mean strategies, not so much. Mandrake, oh yeah, that guy's good.
Yeah.
This
I would get rid
seems
of the Visitor.
Yep. That one's good.
I'd get rid of the Revoker and the Vindicator.
I mean, Revoker seems pretty strong to me if they know what cards they're facing and they need to prevent them from
But I would rather... I guess this card doesn't help you win the game. It just stops you from losing. And there's already 2 blue players that are probably running counter spells, and so
that's true.
Like, unless you're trying to be the like table police, You're already running like a lot of spot removal, like Excise the Imperfect and Generous Gift. You don't need to run these like very targeted hate pieces.
No, that's a good point because yeah, if there's other people who are controlling out the board, then part of your strategy can be just focus on your own game and let each other counterspell each other and remove each other's permanents. It's kind of a very selfish strategy. You know, people say, "Oh, run some more spot removal. It makes the games better," and it does in the right play group. But then if you're playing against a really brutal play group, it's kind of like you can just focus on your own strategy and be selfish, and make other players deal with each other. This probably is not a relevant
It's
card.
cool. Not very relevant.
So cool.
I would-
Phyrexian Cat Cleric. Incubate X. Nah, this is too weak.
Yeah, unfortunately. It's a great card. It's very cool.
Roaming
Not enough
Throne.
synergy for Roaming Throne.
Yeah.
This card is, unless you're going in on the opponent's draw card and they lose a life thing, I think this card is not good enough.
Yeah.
Should be running more targeted to your own self card draw.
Suture Priest, probably not good enough.
Yeah, I would consider replacing Suture Priest with Soul Warden or, the 1 mana effects if you're leaning into the tokens.
Yeah, I don't know if it's worth it in this play group though, because I'm not even sure that they need like the life gain and stuff.
Vulpine Harvester can get removed. It's cool.
No, yeah, that's
Phyrexian Fox.
Again, this is the kind of card that would be so fun in a more casual group where you could run these highly synergistic cards.
Yeah.
Walking Ballista will keep for the combo. Welcoming Vampire. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. What's the white enchantment card draw thing?
Enduring.
Vitality?
Is it Vitality? Enduring Innocence.
Enduring Innocence. So, yeah, this is another one like that that's going to draw cards. And it's great, too, because even if it's out and you wipe the board, it can still come back.
Yeah, I would add in Defiler of Faith. I think that's a very good creature for this strategy.
Yeah, Defiler of Faith. Mm-hmm.
I would add
you get your
Keeper
tokens.
of the Accord.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one, especially now that we got the planes count up. It's going to give us tokens and keep us up on mana.
Should also probably run Ocelot Pride.
Oh, yeah. That's actually, if I can spell it right, Ocelot.
Close. OCO.
OCO.
Or OCE.
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry.
Yeah, Ocelot Pride will really help with the token, like making a ton of tokens. And God, I forget this is 1 mana because I always play an arena where they've arena'd it to 2 mana.
I'm a big fan of running Solemn Simulacrum even in Bracket 4.
Yeah, and it's an artifact. I think Soul Scour would be worth it in this deck.
That's the destroy all non-artifact creatures.
No, destroy all non-artifact permanents.
It
hits lands too.
I don't. Probably not. You'd have to really be all in on artifacts to make this work.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I'd also get rid of the invasion. I don't think the invasion is very good.
Man, look at. Yeah. Oh, you know what might be good is Boromir.
Boromir is very good.
Yeah, Boromir, I mean, he was, as we saw, he was even relevant this weekend. And he can protect our stuff, and he can counterspell.
I'd also run Moodshaker Cavalry.
Moonshaker.
It's
Yeah,
just
that's good. That's a
the
good win
white,
con.
yeah, the white crater hoof. It's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. I would add in Sajiri's Shelter and
Yeah, this is another.
oh,
These MDFC cards are useful.
I would add Ameria's Call.
Oh yeah, this is a good one too.
And Undo Inversion.
Yep, undo inversion. That card has won me a lot of games. And maybe we'll just cut one planes just to.
Oh, also Witch Enchanter. Love Witch Enchanter.
Yeah, if they have a. This is the exile and graveyard one, right?
No, this is the destroy target artifact or enchantment. So to me,
Oh,
this is the much better version of Disenchant.
yeah,
It
because
is
it
a
can enter
creature. It's a
untapped. And...
land. Yeah.
All right, we'll cut one more. Okay.
We're still at 34. I would be
I think
tempted to
34
cut.
might be enough for this deck because we have land tax, Archaeomancer's map. We have a lot of mana rocks.
Yeah. I would be tempted to drop maybe. It's running a lot of wraths, and so I'm just thinking, like, does it need. Like, I would more. I'm thinking it either needs to run a few more token generators or a few more creatures. I would get rid of the Excise the Imperfect because I think it is a worse version of Generous Gift.
Yep.
I would consider dropping Oketra's Monument because I don't think we have enough creatures.
Yep.
For it
That's
to...
what I would drop to. Yeah, we are missing Deep Gnome Terramancer. This is a good card, especially against green. God, this card's so good.
I might get rid of the. Let's go back to this. Why are we running Phyrexian Altar and Ashnod's Altar? What are we? Maybe we actually remove both of those cards because I'm not seeing what are we doing with that.
I mean, I guess
convert
sacking
tokens into mana, but for what reason?
I mean, at least keeping Phyrexian Altar seems good to me just for, like, for again, turning tokens into mana to cast other things seems decent.
I guess.
Okay. Ashnod's Altar less so since it's just colorless. Yeah. You're right. The Phyrexian Altar, not that relevant. Let's add one more land and see if we can... This... I would keep this.
Yeah, keep this.
So we'll draw... I'd probably do this, tapped. And draw planes, Everflowing Chalice, Multi-Kicker 1 into Skull Clamp.
Yeah.
Draw.
Oof.
This is...
Still...
I guess we play this.
And then clamp the... Yeah, play that with it with one clamp. Oh, and then we don't have enough. We can't
clamp. Yeah.
I would actually play the Mind Stone then. Maybe?
No, I would play this because we want to get 2 cards next turn to guarantee a land drop.
Yeah.
So then we draw. Yeah, so now we clamp to draw 2. Planes. We've got 3 mana. Now we could Mind Stone. Draw.
So then we go into turn 5.
Planes.
It's probably like Arcane Signet, Smothering Tithe, or Trouble in Pairs.
Yeah.
It's pretty slow.
Yeah, this doesn't feel like it's getting there.
Let's do another hand. This is much better, I think.
Yeah, we got token generator, planes, Mind Stone, draw. Cavern of Souls, we can play Myrel.
I would actually play out... Oh, yeah, I guess it's kind of the same either way. And
Yeah, I'd
then
rather use all
enduring
my mana.
innocence attack.
Yeah,
Because
during
then you get to
Innocence
draw.
attack, and then we draw. Next turn, we draw. Planes.
Play out the commander or martial coup, or, depends on what the board state is.
Yeah, I
But
don't
if
think
we
Marshall
attack with
could. Well, I
Myrel,
think
we
we
draw.
attack and draw, and then
Defiler Faith is still pretty good.
I'd probably do Smother and Tithe.
Yeah.
And the next turn, draw planes. If we all we had to get was like one token, and then we can Martial Q for enough to destroy all other creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So we would like attack and draw, and then do this to destroy all other creatures. So that's got, and they can't counterspell us.
And we draw another card.
Yeah.
From Enduring Innocence.
Well, I think I already counted that we drew from swinging off Myrel.
Yeah.
So
anyways, I think
that hand felt solid.
Playing better.
Let's try one more. I am just worried that this deck just can't.
It's not.
It's
kind of sluggish. I think in part because Elesh Norn as the commander is really cool, but isn't really pushing our game state. I guess I don't know, because we have not been in a position where it's like, yes, even in the fictional world where we don't even have opponents, we're not running our commander out, is not a great sign to me.
Yeah, and it's a little hard with some of these effects to figure out if we're getting there, but yeah, this hand, I mean, it's doing some stuff, but yeah, it's debatable if Elesh Norn is the right commander for this. I mean, this is potentially a really solid hand because we turn 1 land terra tax, turn 2 Ancient Tomb, Drannith Magistrate.
Yeah.
Turn 3.
You just run Elesh Norn out now.
Yeah, now we would run Elesh Norn, draw.
But I just sacrifice 3 other creatures to flip her. This just seems not good.
Yeah, I think we gave this our best shot, but if I were to make a deck for this playgroup that's mono white, I think I would either do Heliod or I would more realistically do Oswald Fiddlebender.
Sure. I guess I would lean into more, especially if you wanted to stick in mono white. I think mono white good stuff or stat like mono white kind of hate bears, like doing Myrel as your commander.
That's a good point too. Myrel would be another one. Like if you wanted to stick to the token strategy, then do Myrel like hate bears, and you don't even really hardly need any token strategies or synergies. Like all you need to do is be able to swing with her turn after turn because she gives you exponential soldiers, and then otherwise you just run all the best possible white cards.
Because I think part of the problem with the token strategies is you end up running a lot of cards that do nothing. Like they don't do anything. They're very cool cards and I really like them. So Montrak, Ojerpek, Anointed Procession, these cards don't do anything when you play them. And they only make you're playing too much of the Euro board game where you're assembling your pieces to make this awesome combo, but you're not doing anything.
Yeah, that's the other way to kind of approach this, but then yeah, so I would say switching the commander seems like a good strategy. The player also mentioned switching to this Mother of Machines to stop opponents' ETBs, which potentially good, but
then you lean completely out of token generation because I don't think there's enough ETB token generation to be particularly good.
Yeah, I think Myrel is probably the best one to do token generation.
Yeah, like I think Mother of Machines can be really great because then you can run things like Lorn of the Third Path, Knight of the White Orchid. There's a lot of great white ETB. Yeah, I also think Life Gain Vampires, like I think any strategy has the potential to be a strong bracket 4. It just you need to be able to make those compromises to push it to that bracket if you want to.
Yeah, it's the unfortunate part. There's not a lot of room for Phyrexian themed deck in bracket 4. It's too bad. Anyways, if you made it this far, like, comment, subscribe.